Ladies and gentlemen, welcome tonight to Chicago, the Windy City. We are here with the All-American Racing League for their Blue-Gray Plastic Fabrication Cup Series. My name's Greg McConey, joined in the booth by Matt Metler here. Matt, this is my first time this season with these guys. I know you broadcasted last week's race with Cliff, and you said we had a real barn burner. Can you run that back for us real quick while we wait on these guys to jump into qualifying?
Yes, certainly. You couldn't ask for a better opener in ATL, and AARL set that city ablaze in prime time. It was drama. It was action-packed. There was beating and bangering. There was tempers boiling over, and the last restart, Purcell came out of nowhere, got a heck of a push, and he was able to beat out at the line with 400 thousandths of a second margin of victory. He couldn't have asked for better. It couldn't have been scripted any better. And I'm still buzzing about that race 1 week later. But here we go on to phase two, our second stop on our SRM broadcast schedule. And we're in uncharted territory, as you were saying, here in Chicago, the Windy City, for the road course. And if you guys remember, during the NASCAR season last year, this whole philosophy, this logic started really gaining some traction mid-season. And then before you knew it, bam, it was on the schedule. iRacing did the development, and here you are getting a sneak peek before you ever see it on actual television, AARL style, tonight under the lights in prime time.
Absolutely. They had their invitational race here last year. It was a very interesting showing, I'll say that. I remember from that show was Anthony Alfredo out front, and then all mayhem broke loose as they went into turn one. Matt, as we talk about turn one, I'm going to pull up real quick if I can find it. Sorry, folks, I'm having a little bit. There it is. Let's pull up the track map. And you can kind of take a quick little look over on the right side of the screen. I'll pull up a better picture here in a few minutes once we get going. But this is the kind of layout. It's almost like a figure eight style layout. And this is, like we said, this is the first NASCAR race that's ever going to be hosted on an actual street course. And go ahead.
No, go ahead. I mean, I didn't mean to cut you off there, and I did, and I'm just, I'm so anticipating this race for so many different reasons. It's because, we get to start to write the history on this. I mean, nothing has been written yet. So tonight we got the fresh scroll. We got AARL doing battle out here on this brand new course that's been developed by iRacing for NASCAR. And so far, I can tell you from what we've seen in practice, I mean, the racing lanes are tight. The corners are even tighter. And if you're off just a little bit, you're ricocheting off these walls through the downtown of Chicago. I cannot wait to get this one fired up into green flag mode here. And I think it's going to be another high-octane battle here with potential upset winner at the end. We're just going to have to see how this one plays out.
Oh, absolutely. We don't know how this race is going to go, folks. We talk about this, and we're getting excited because, like we've said, this is the first time I've broadcasted a race on this road course, let alone, turn any kind of a lap here. Thank you to the folks in chat that caught me with my trading paints not working. That has since been corrected, so everybody should have the correct schemes now. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And something tells me you better get a good look at these beautiful paint schemes now. If it's anything like we're seeing in practice, there is the 5 kamikazes into the wall. They might not have too much left of these cars when it's all said and done.
No, absolutely. And this is a very tight, a very tough and technical course where you get maybe 3 car widths wide in most places on the track. So the key to remember here tonight for these guys is you have 1 fast repair. That's it. 55 total laps, 75% fuel, 5 sets of tires, including the 1 set that's already on the car, and only 1 fast repair.
Yeah, this could definitely play out into survive and alive, adapt and overcome, and slow is fast. attrition, basically, if you will. I mean, every single time we watch some of these cars out here, as we're getting ready to wind down practice and shift into qualifying, we're seeing trouble on the racetrack and just how technical this course is. First glance, it feels very Formula One-esque, and I know that's the vibe we're going for here. I'm not prejudiced. I want to give this, a fair shot. But so far, I'm liking what I'm seeing, but I just don't see how some of these corners, as tight as they are, and I mean, how it's going to be possible, to get two of these cars through there side by side. I guess we're going to have to wait and see. They're the pros. That's why we're up here in the booth.
Oh, absolutely. We're here because, no offense, I don't want to be on that track right now. I haven't turned a single lap. Every lap that I've seen has been either from the NBC or Fox broadcasts, and what we've seen here tonight. And this turn specifically, this one right here, is so tight right before they're about to come over the bridge, as we are right now watching Evan Clapper on his warm-up lap. It is remarkable how some of these segments, how tight you're going to have to be before you're able to really get back on the throttle. And we're going to see these guys want to take them 2-3 wide. Matt, it's going to be a fun show.
Oh, it is. I think this is going to be a road course of a whole nother level throughout NASCAR and all of its various divisions under that umbrella. But don't be fooled. These AARL boys and girls, they are top-notch. It was on display last week, and I don't anticipate this course giving them trouble for long. They'll get it figured out and start turning some competitive lap times here before you know it. But still, this is going to put a whole new aspect on road course racing when they turn these cars loose, because this is unlike anything we have seen road course style in NASCAR to date.
Oh, for sure. You brought up the comparison to Formula One, and that's exactly what this kind of street course was modeled after, was Formula One and the Indy cars. NASCAR looked at that for a long time. Fans have been asking, let's get a street course. Can we do it? Can it be done? NASCAR finally went and said, all right, we're doing this. And fans, a lot of the fans, myself included, sat back and went, wait, what? What do you mean we're doing this?
You almost laughed, right? We're like, ha, fake news. And then the more you heard about it, the more you didn't want to believe it, or you couldn't believe it, because everything you've learned about the sport over the years said there's no way. But I think a big catalyst for them being able to put this together was the clash at the Coliseum. Them being able to take a stadium they used to play football at and pack it full of race cars and go out there and put on a show that was exciting. I think that kind of paved the way for some alternate outside of the box thinking and made this become a reality.
Oh, for sure. While we're sitting here talking and rambling away, Matt, Adam Engerstein has turned the fastest qualifying lap at a 1 minute 32.1. Kyle Purcell has turned a 1:32.3. Christian Delgado turned a 1:32.9. And Patrick McQuaid has turned a 1:32.98. These guys right now are getting after this course. You have 2 laps to qualify for most of these guys. And we were on board before with Evan Clapper, and we noticed that he didn't lay down a time. The reason being, iRacing, of course, has their zero incident policy when it comes to qualifying. So if you even scrape the wall, you get, in iRacing, what's known as an incident point, which basically means you've had contact somewhere and they invalidate your lap. And that's exactly what happened to Evan. Right now, Adam, Kyle, Christian, and Patrick are the only 4, and David Hara, are the only ones that have turned a successful lap.
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail right on the head there. There's so many unknowns here, and you don't want to start off in the hole. The other part of that is, almost in a strange way, maybe kind of like a plate race, if you will. This is so new and so raw. No one knows what to expect. Why not maybe play it safe? Start in the back and try to miss some of those early debacles on the race course, and save your car for, for the end when it counts. That could also be on some of these drivers or competitors' nines.
Absolutely. And it's going to be tough because right now you need to be very careful, as we've seen Peter Thoreau, Lilith Peters have both turned laps and made time. Jeremy Flanagan has turned and put a time in as well. I agree with the concept of starting from the back because it's a road course. You get to play strategy. You can change up and get yourself off cycle from the rest of the field. Maybe take tires, maybe not take tires, whatever you need to do. But the one concern that I have here is, unlike a Watkins Glen, a Sonoma, even Road America, is this is a confined track. There is no runoff. So if you get wide and you overheat it into a corner, it is very easy. We're going to see a lot of stack up and wrecks here tonight of major proportions, simply from the fact that the track is clogged and the guys can't go anywhere. Guys and gals, can't go anywhere. So that's the one concern that I have of starting from the back in this race, would be the fact that there's a chance that I'm going to get stopped in the middle of the field, and unless they throw an admin yellow, iRacing doesn't throw yellows for road courses.
And to be fair, on the other side of that, some of these sections of this race course are so narrow. I mean, you may be able to see it, but there's nowhere to go for you to avoid it. It's almost like a black hole, and you're sucked in it, and there's nothing you can do to help yourself and your race team. Like you were saying, like Watkins Glen, Sonoma, where you have that abyss, that vast runoff area, the sand pits, et cetera, et cetera. You don't have that here. You have a hard wall on the inside and the outside of you, and if you fall in between those lines, you're not getting out of them. Well, at least with your race car in one piece.
Exactly. Right now we're watching Cameron Harris turn his lap. This is, he was not able to finish his first lap. He's on his second run right now. May have just scraped the wall there, so we'll have to see if iRacing will count this time. As he comes over the bridge, we talk about the tight turns on this, Matt. We have yet to mention the fact that there's a major elevation change in the middle of a straightaway.
Yeah, you know what? And to be fair, I didn't even recognize that or notice that yet. Again, this is the first time my eyes are processing this along with all you guys at home. Again, if you're new to SRM, make sure you smash that like button, ring the bell, come right home, trust us for all your eSIM racing needs. We got you covered 7 days a week as we continue to watch Cameron Harris in that 27 ZL1 Camaro fire up the streets of Chicago. And just look how easy it is to get that car out of shape. You see the back end sliding around, using up those tires. Oh, as he gets into drift mode there, he's going to lock them all up. But just like that, it's easy to go from, a Sunday drive, and all of a sudden you have trouble. And if you got the whole field coming at you, that's probably a 10 to 12 car pileup.
Absolutely. We're watching right now, Larry Garnes turns in a 12th place first qualifying lap at a 141.2. So our fastest right now has been Peter. Peter Thoreau has turned in a 128.7 second lap time. And Larry's turning in a 141.2. We're going to see a vast difference in driver times tonight, which is very typical of a road course. You get the guys that come in that within the NASCAR industry are known as the ringers, the road course ringers. They come in, and they excel. Your AJ Allmendingers, Truex, Elliott. Now, yes, Truex and Elliott have both won titles and won oval races, but they're known for being specialists on a road course.
Right, exactly. And, to add to that list, Boris Said, the Said heads from back in the day, early 2000s, Jacques Villeneuve and all those ringers. And you're right, it wasn't uncommon then for these teams that necessarily didn't run up front to pull in these road course aces into the NASCAR circuit, which really evened the playing field. But one of the cool thing all those drivers did is they shared the knowledge with all of these NASCAR drivers, which really elevated their game. That's one thing they don't get enough credit for. As we see, oh, look at that. We got a Porsche 911 out there setting the grid. That's new in the NASCAR scene as we get ready to line them up and tear them loose.
Absolutely. We're going to take a look real quick at your qualifying results if SDK is deciding it wants to work with me. Come on. I'm going to reload my overlay real quick and see perhaps if we can get this working right now. I don't understand why it is not.
And as you're working on the SDK, so not only is this new to us, it's also new to the technology that we use to bring these broadcasts live to you guys day in and day out. But starting on the pole again, that's the 28 machine of Peter Thielt at a 128.701. The 73 machine, he was fast last week at times, starting P2. That's Lewis Clark. The one machine who I thought was going to win it last week, Lilith Peters. I'm telling you, she may be a force to be reckoned with tonight. She was very consistent in practice, qualified top 3, third spot. Look for her to maybe play a massive spoiler here tonight as we go into uncharted territory. In fourth, Cameron Harrison, that 27 machine. And rounding out your top 5, last week's winner, Mr. Where Did He Come From, Kyle Purcell.
Starting P6 is going to be Adam Angerstein. P7, Patrick McQuaid. P8, Christian Delgado. P9 will be Joshua Hetrick. And 10 is David Hera. Starting 11th, Jeremy Flanagan. 12th, Larry Garns. 13th, Evan Clapper. And 14th will be Chad Snyder. Matt, I'll let you take over here as I am working on getting this set up.
Not a problem. Bringing the rest of the way through the starting grid. 15th, that's going to belong to Nathan Christensen. 16th, the 00 machine of Sean Purcell, the other Purcell in the race tonight. 17th, that is going to be the 7 machine of Travis Rodriguez. Residing in 18th, David LaFarno. 19th, Rodney Uberpacker. 20th, Justin Horton. 21st, Scott Leonard. And rounding out your field of 22 starters tonight in the Windy City, that is the 2 machine of Tyrone Yo.
Absolutely. And you'll see right real quick, folks, I had to shut off the main HUD HUD system. Should have that back up and running here within a minute. There we go. Now everything decides it wants to work properly. All right. Like we said, we'll pull up the grid real quick. Let everybody take a look. We're going to have a long pace lap here, Matt, as we wait for everybody to get around this long circuit. So I'm excited. If like you said, we had last week's show and it was absolutely fantastic. I'm excited to see what these guys and gals have in store for us tonight on a track. Once again, most of these folks probably haven't run much. Well, I say that now that I think about it, they've probably been turning laps on here since they found out the schedule. But it's going to be a fun one. We've got
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, yeah, it's definitely going to be a fun one. And, these guys have set the bar so high, from their debut last week. But I know they're going to come through. These are a great bunch of competitors. These guys are not afraid to get dicey and stick their hand into the mix, if you know what I mean, when it comes down to business or go time, if you will. But I just can't get over how tight some of these racing lanes are coming through some of these corners. It's mind-blowing.
It really is. And folks, you see me jumping around a little bit because I'm getting notifications on my end that there's been accidents, but it's the guys, unlike other courses where they're able to really be side by side most of the time, you can't. You kind of make contact with the wall a little bit. So that's why I was jumping around slightly, trying to make sure nobody actually indeed crashed. But as we see everybody line up, the 28 of Peter Thoreau is going to take us to green here as we wait and sit on this green flag. Green flag's in the air. Peter gets a great launch coming down this front straightaway. He's going to have a hard left-hand turn. Yes, hard left-hand turn. We got the 73 of Lewis Clark on his outside as they're going to come pull up the track map here. They're going to take this little right-hander down this short straightaway into this 45-degree angled corner around where I believe this is actually Millennium Park. No, I'm sorry. Millennium Park's on the back half of this.
Yeah, it feels more like the Millennium Falcon right now as Peter Throughout is winding the crazy train, snaking through downtown Chicago right now as he currently maintains P1, followed by the 73 machine, who almost had an incident in the first corner, but he was able to save it. The 73 of Lewis Clark in third. Lilith Peters owning that third position. The top four have not moved yet. In fourth, 27, Cameron Harris. And rounding out the top five is Kyle Purcell. And you can see that racing action has already kicked up a level as we're battling each corner door to door just about. We're going to single file here just a little bit as we continue to wind down what I would call the back stretch or the or Watkins Glen, the longer side of the track, if you will, as we get ready to go up this hard. Oh, wow. Did you see that?
Who was that? Was that Evan? Yes, that's Evan Clapper.
Yeah, Evan Clapper got the slapper, and then he recovered it, gave it a little too much loud pedal, and then turned it back into the wall. Looks like he'll mitigate the damage, and he's able to maintain race speed here. Looks like he has all four tires on it. I don't see any broken spindles. He's good to go right now, but he may want to come down pit road when he has a chance and address some of that damage. But just like that, we've already had a few incidences, and we're not even lap one through, or just lap one through.
Yeah, we just finished lap one here. Clapper's got to be careful with this new damage model that iRacing has put on these next-gen cars. They do have progressive damage. So essentially what that means is if you hit that right front enough times, it's going to break. You're going to break suspension. You're going to break a tie rod. You're going to break, you know, an axle. Anything on this car is now able to be broken. Where did we miss? Aside for the braking system, but where were you looking, Matt?
I saw a bunch of tire smoke and the 7 just rocketing. I don't know if that was pit road, but the 7 machine just went onto a different zip code as we were watching everyone make that hard turn coming down the we'll call it the Long Pond Straight for right now.
For sure. The 7 of Travis Rodriguez is, who's at the 5 right behind him, just kind of hits the wall. Rodriguez doing a good job hounding the back end of the 67 with Justin Horton. Trying his best to get around him, but we talked about how tight this track is. There's not a lot of rooms to make any kind of a dive bomb.
No, there's not. So you really have to understand the passing zones of this track and where to attack and where to defend. And just because you have a run doesn't mean you want to stick your nose in there, because you might be met with a concrete brick wall because there's literally not enough space for 2 cars to fit through there.
Yeah, you see Rodriguez gets the inside run there coming out of that last corner. As we hear a little bit of squealing as who is that? That's the 72.
72
and Jeremy Flanagan into the wall.
Yeah, he's going to give it a little drift love tap there right off the back fender quarter panel of that race car. They'll continue marching forward.
While all this has happened, we're 3 laps in right now. Let's go back and take a look. We got an incident on lap 1 of Rodriguez. Let's see if we can see what happened here. See Rodriguez over there on the far right-hand side of your screen. 2 wide as they come into the corner. This looks like decided to hit the binder, save the car more than anything. On lap 2, we have an incident. This is Scott Leonard. Or Leonard, as he just blows through that right-hand corner. That little bit of a runoff there is going to save him, but he's going to be able to continue on. Jeremy Flanagan had an incident here on lap 3 as they come into turn 1. Right at the same time that Scott was having his issue. This is what we talked on. Flanagan just, like you said, drifts that rear quarter panel into the wall. A little later on, Jeremy had another little incident.
I'm pretty sure it's safe to say everyone's probably had an oh no moment as we're currently working lap 4 in this one, and there will be more of those to follow because again, this track is just so technical. It is so narrow and so tight, and to encompass that and to build upon that, that just means your throttle timing, your brake timing, the transitioning on and off the pedals, your steering inputs have to be that much more calculated. And if you're off just a little bit, you see them paying on the racetrack as this car breaks traction, it steps out, and it becomes a handful really quick in a hurry, and you have really no area to catch it and save it, because if you look up, a wall will find you faster than anything. As we're watching the 10 right now of last week's winner, Kyle Purcell, doing battle. Right now, he started 5th. He's currently up to the 4th position, as he's starting to dial in on that one machine of Lilith Peters, as she's been able to hold her ground very well since we displayed the green flag in this one. She started 3rd, currently resides in 3rd. Car still has all the fenders on it, not seeing any damage at all whatsoever. That's a good-looking CL1 Camaro.
Absolutely. So while we were taking a look at some of those incidents that happened, we do see Chad Snyder did tow it down to the pits. Looks like Evan Clapper may have just had a little bit of an incident. We'll take a look at that here soon. Flanagan has come into the pits. He has used his fast repair. Snyder has used his fast repair, so that's 2 drivers right now that are now out their fast repair, and we are on lap 5 of 55 here tonight. We'll take a look real quick. It looks like Larry, let's go back and take a look at Evan Clapper, see what happened with him as he comes into the corner. Little hot. Ooh, loops it into that inside wall coming off that last turn. Loops it into the outside wall, trying to get that car going straight. And it's crazy. This, unlike a place such as Watkins Glen, Sonoma, Road America, where it's smooth, there's potholes. This track is slick, as Clapper has another incident there on turn 1. And around goes the 20 of Larry Garnes. You see right there, just noses it a little bit into that outside wall. But
yeah,
that's something these guys and gals have to really be careful about here, is the fact that this isn't an even track. You see it right there. They're jumping off a little bit of an uneven surface on the street course, watching out for potholes, watching out for all that, while they're trying to maintain a tight technical track, while they're trying to run down each other. This is incredible watching what these drivers are able to do, as we do see Rodriguez did tow it into the pit. Horton looks like he had a major incident.
Yeah, Horton caught the bunker. He didn't get on the brakes in time and locked up the Dr. Feelgoods. He's going to bang it off the barrier just a little bit there. He's able to recover, though. But like you were saying about this surface, it's easy to forget at home, and heck, I even forgot about it until you brought it up. This isn't a racetrack. This isn't like Daytona, Fontana, where they know, hey, if I go low and down the front straightaway, there's a bump here. There's potholes, there's craters, there's offsets from roads being repaved, ones that have been ground out. So it's almost like a Mario Kart track out there with, might as well throw some banana peels out there and whatnot, because it's all uncharted territory. And you jump out of the preferred lane, not only do you have to worry if there's space, there could be a 6-foot or a 3-inch pothole there that's going to take the front valence off your race car. So there's so many different unknowns that we're just going to have to figure out as we go along here. And one that they're not used to is that racing service being used for rush hour traffic 365 days a year.
Well, not just rush hour traffic, you're having to deal as well with the fact that these streets go through winter cycles, which for a lot of tracks breaks in new concrete, new cement, whatever they may be laying down for that particular track. And a place such as Michigan right now, Michigan is aging very quickly, which is good, because I'm excited to see how that track's going to wear in and age, versus a track such as Texas, which doesn't go through these winter cycles, these harsh cold weather conditions to kind of create some cracks, create a little bit of grip there. And we see that track at Texas hasn't aged or changed very much since they repaved it a few years ago, very similar to the time of Michigan getting repaved. But
Yeah,
these streets, Matt, are going through that constantly. So there's an unknown level of grip that these real-life NASCAR drivers are going to have to deal with.
Right, and to build upon that, and that was my rush hour traffic reference, like you said, the changing of the seasons. When it gets cold and that water melts and it freezes, it's going to buckle. It's going to move the surface. And certain parts of this road course are going to be older than others. So to build upon what you were saying, certain parts of this course are going to have more grip than others. And you're going to have, especially you're going to feel that in the corners, lateral acceleration when you try to accelerate off. So there's going to be, to really know how to get around this place, you're going to have such a new level and understanding of the surface and how to use it to your advantage. It's nothing like these guys have ever seen. As we're a little bit of a tap there. Caught a little bit of that pothole you were talking about, and the suspension rebounded. It shot him into the outside wall there just a little bit. Couple scratches ain't gonna hurt the front of that XRE Camry right there, though. 25. He's gonna make the corner as he comes back up to speed there. I thought maybe he had an issue, but he's gonna tuck back inside of Rodney Uberparker, currently residing in the 10th position, up 9 spots from where he started. That's pretty impressive.
Oh, for sure. We're going to take a quick look back at Adam Angerstein. Looks like he had a little bit of an issue here as he starts lap 8. Comes into this first turn, little hot, little heavy, locks up that left front, and just noses the right side into the wall. He'll be able to continue on and be all right. But right now, Matt, we're looking at the battle between Clapper and Uberpacher. And these guys are they're closing in on the lap car of Snyder. But right now, these guys are we're seeing these little pockets form. These little battles like you would see at a place such as, Road America is notorious for it. Watkins Glen is one where you typically keep most of the field together. But you go to like Road America or the Indy Street Course, and you see these little battles form. Guys have figured out different aspects of this track where they're able to keep side by side with each other, and that's what we're starting to see here tonight at the Chicago Street Course.
Yeah, you're seeing these little hot spots or these mini battles, as you were saying, like you would see with different tiers of cars out there on the racetrack. That one's going to leave a mark. Is the 14 of Scott Leonard. He's going to right hook it, and he's going to get stuck square right into that bump stop. He's going to have to throw it in reverse, get it back into first gear. As you see the 16 of Christian Delgado come down pit road.
Yeah, we're taking a look right now at that incident between the 14, and I'm not quite sure who that was. We'll go back and take a look. I believe that was the 20 that he got in contact with of Larry Garnes. Looking at that little incident, we had another incident between Christensen and I believe just Christensen, because it doesn't look like I'm getting any notifications of Clark getting into him. Yeah, Christensen just hooks it wide, takes it nice and slow corner. All is good there for him. Joshua Hetrick looks like he's had a little bit of an incident here.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that most of the competitors out here on the racetrack have had some type of involvement in an incident, whether it be, incidental contact or a scuff with the outside wall, or just straight losing it into the corner and being stuck pointing right in the bump stop. And we're only, 9 laps into this. The distance tonight in prime time, 55 laps. As the 16 decides to make a last-ditch effort and almost misses pit road. He's going to get it turned all the way in, slowed down in time. Hopefully have to check race control on pit entry speed there. Also have a report that David Hara, the 15, has also been in for service as well. And remember, you only get 5 sets of tires here tonight as well, so use them wisely.
Absolutely. We're seeing a lot of guys make these pit stops, coming in just trying to see if they can do anything. Like you said, Delgado's in, Hetrick is in, Garnes is in as well. These drivers all in, fixing damage, getting new tires, fuel, filling these cars up. Because like we said, you only have 75% fuel here tonight. As up front, Clark is still leading this race. He's already lapped a few drivers all the way up to 14th place. Of Nathan Christensen has been lapped. Actually, Delgado would now be lapped as he's in pit road. But your top two of Clark and Peter Thoreau have taken themselves to about a 15-second lead over third-place driver of Lilith Peters, who has Kyle Purcelling chasing her. About another 7 seconds back is Cameron Harris. He's running by himself. Another 18 back to Adam Angerstein. Your top six right now are spread out by almost 45 seconds.
And that is an eternity. And I don't care what type of racetrack, we're talking about, short track, intermediate, super speedway, Chicago road course. 45 seconds is a lifetime. And that all goes back to, like you were saying, we were talking about earlier. We're going to see all this different experience is going to correlate to position and just positioning on the racetrack. And we're seeing that be a huge factor so far right now. And we saw a preview of that with the qualifying speeds. But how about the 73 of Lewis Clark looking like the explorers of the great Northwest, Lois and Clark, as he's setting it off and pioneering out in front here in Chicago.
Absolutely. We're taking a look here over at the YouTube chat. Yes, for the folks that were questioning, yes, this is the Chicago Street Course. Yes, this is the course that iRacing designed for NASCAR specifically. They went to the streets of Chicago as, we see Clark almost get into the side there of the 14.
Oh, that's going to leave a mark.
Who are you looking at, buddy? There goes the 28 around. That's Peter Thoreau. He's going to nose that rear end into the outside wall.
Yeah, Peter Thoreau got kamikazed, but before that, someone threw up a bell ringer coming out of the corner. I'd have to see the replay, but I seen the car ricochet off the wall, and I think that was a catalyst to where our cameras came into that secondary part of the incident. But you would have to think that's going to be some pretty catastrophic damage on these race cars. Definitely going to knock the toe and the alignment out at minimum.
Yeah, what happened there was Scott got into the wall. We're taking a look at it here on screen. He gets into the wall, and when he does, he noses it off the inside wall, gets into the back end of Thoreau, and knocks him into the tire barrier there. So that's we talked before about how tough it's going to be for these drivers to deal with this tight circuit, and you're starting to see it. Lap traffic playing a bigger role in this race than we would see at other road courses.
Yeah, and it's to levels that I haven't seen yet, or I think that you haven't seen yet, because it's taking a NASCAR race car, that's used to seeing competition, of the layout of all these different formulas and equations, and we're basically taking a NASCAR race car and stuffing it in a Formula One style track, and the car is twice as big, probably weighs 4 times, if not 5 times more than the current F1 car, and they're trying to battle and do all the things that they do week in and week out, and the margins are just so much tighter, and I don't think any driver could prepare for this. You just got to get out here and do it, and the more seat time you get, the better the more success you're gonna have. But I still don't see how it's possible here on this course to really run too wide, especially in some of these corners when some of these drivers have just thought about sticking a nose out there and they're in the wall before they know it.
Yeah, we just saw Lilith Peters bank it off that wall there. I'm with you. I think it's going to be very interesting watching what the real life drivers are going to be able to do when it comes to this track. I like what NASCAR's done with at least giving it a shot. We're going to go and see what happens as we are now on lap 14 of 55. we're going to take a quick look. We had, it looks like a little incident for Adam Angerstein. We're going to go back and see what happened with him. And then I'm going to try and keep an eye to see when our leader is going to be crossing the start-finish line, so that way we can jump on with him. As you see, Adam has to take the little access road there. We're going to keep our eye here as he now has started his lap. I'm going to jump in because we have a cockpit view from Clark's car. We were able to get the GoPro on his helmet as I am messing up what I was working on. All right, we're going to go back to Clark. He's going to be coming around here very soon to be starting this lap. So we're going to jump on the gyro cam, or not the gyro cam, because everything's a little bit messed up. So we're going to go back to the cockpit, use his helmet cam that I was able to get the GoPro on. This is him coming out of the last corner. Now he's getting ready to cross the start-finish line. We're going to take you for a lap here, folks, so you can see exactly what these drivers see as they make a lap around the Chicago street course.
And as you guys are going around, just wanted to give you a heads up there, buddy. My replay cameras are all down right now. My SDK has become poisoned a little bit here too as well. Just so we're on the same page there. I still got real-time scoring, but my replay, I will not be able to come along with you until I get that resolved. Just a heads up.
No, you're good, buddy. You saw how close Clark was getting to that outside wall. Now he's coming down this straightaway section here into a hard left-hand corner.
Yeah, there's definitely plenty of hard lefts, hard rights, and everything far few in between. But I'll tell you what, that 27 machine, he's getting around this racetrack, though. So is the one.
You mean the 73?
73, I'm sorry about that.
The 27 is also getting around this track really well of Cameron Harris. He is currently sitting in 5th place, down one spot from where he started, but he's getting around here as well, I should say. As we see as we see Clark come through that little section, the 2 wisely backs off to give the leader the freedom to enter that corner as well. And now we have successfully completed one lap here around the Chicago street course. That lap was 1:30, as his fastest on the night so far is a 1:29.0. Right now, David Lorfano is coming down pit road. And it looks like David Hara may have had a little bit of an incident. I will take a look at that here in 1 minute.
Yeah, and speaking of that, don't look now, but the top 10, the 10th place car on the racetrack is 1 lap down. So you want to talk about the pace, the 73 of Lewis Clark, the 28 of Peter Thrope, the 1 of Lilith Peters are putting up. We are not even 20 laps into this event, and we have 9 cars on the lead lap. They are absolutely flying out there. Like you were saying, the difference in the comparison to, as we get a bunch of tire smoke there, as we just get a little too hot into the corner, we're able to get it woed up back under control and keep it off the wall as we continue green flag action around this Chicago Windy City race course.
Yeah, I'm trying to go back and see who that was that blew through there, had to take that little access road. Not able to see exactly who that was. But, yeah, like you said, we are down to, right now, the top 9 drivers. 17 laps into this race, 9 drivers are currently on the lead lap. And Patrick McQuaid sitting in 9th right now. Don't look right now, but just coming out of that corner behind him, that's the leader.
And if Patrick McQuaid chooses to fire the storm up, Lightning McQuaid, that man right there is sitting in the lucky dog position right now. He definitely was one of the storylines last week from Atlanta. And he told me himself road course wasn't necessarily his thing. But hey, you know what? That 77, Lightning McQuaid out there, he's holding his own right now, doing pretty darn well out there.
Absolutely. We're going to take a quick jump back There was an incident here with Lorfano. Let's take a look and see what happens with him as he's coming off of pit road here. Slows down to make sure he hits the commit cone, comes to a stop. Make sure all those cars around him get through cleanly. Nice work by him. Looks like there's another incident between Christian Delgado and potentially Tyrone Yo. We're going to take a look and see here as Delgado comes into this corner. Hard left hands. You see those brake rotors glowing on that car.
You stole it right out of my mouth. Very reminiscent of Martinsville with that bright orange glow coming off the rotors on this race car. Is the 9. I'm not sure exactly. Is that a runoff road there, or is?
Yes, that is it's a little access road for that hard right-hand corner. They use that little access to allow the drivers, if they need to, if they do miss that corner, there's a little side road that they can take, but they have to weave around the S's made of the tire barriers in order to get back onto the track. Very similar to what you have at Indianapolis road course that, who was it? I'm trying to remember who did it last year, that completely blew through turn 1 and then took that little side road.
Wasn't that Ross Chastain?
I don't remember if it was Chastain or I don't think it was Kyle Busch. It may have been Chastain.
I think it was Ross Chastain, and they didn't penalize him for it either.
Yeah,
if I remember.
no, you're right.
Correct.
It was Chastain. As we see the 15 coming into pit road right now.
You know, and speaking of
go ahead.
Speaking of access roads, that pit road is not easy to get on. I mean, you already have that car upset as you got a ton of wheel fed into it to hit pit road off that 90-degree corner there. So that's another, you might as well throw that in on the books as well. Pit road entry is going to be critical because I could see how it'd really be easy to miss that. You carry a little too much speed, especially on old tires. You're gonna miss that entrance completely. As we're watching the 27 Coors Light Machine here, continuing to do battle out here on the racetrack. Started 5th up to 4th. That's Cameron Harris. The top 5 has pretty much been very consistent since the start of this one. Lewis Clark up 1 to the point.
Oh, what a move by the 27 to get in on the pit road.
That
was remarkable. Hold on, we're going back and watching that again, folks. That was, what a move.
I can't recall the last time I got that excited about a pit road entrance, but that right there. And you know what? I am upset because I do not have instant replay right now. I'm going to have to save this race and watch it back. But that was miraculous.
I don't know if it was intentional by Harris to get himself onto pit road, but it worked. And I don't think he's complaining too much about that. We see as well Engerstein and Christian Delgado come into pit road together. That leaves, as of right now, let's take a look. Clark has not pitted. Thoreau has not pitted. As Thoreau makes a liar out of the broadcaster, he now comes down pit road here on lap 20. Lilith Peters, she has not pit. Evan Clapper has pitted. And Rodney Uberbacher, I believe that's how you pronounce your name. Rodney, please correct me if I'm wrong next time. They have not come down pit road yet on lap 20. And Matt, I don't know if you just saw what Lewis Clark did. He just turned the fastest sector one time on 20-lap old tires.
Yeah, that is incredible, which also tells me, though, that there's a lot of room for driver improvements as they continue to learn this course and find the little tricks or the secrets that each one of these tracks and layouts have that make up their characteristics. And these drivers are starting to uncover those throughout the course of this first 20 laps. Probably one of the main reasons why you're going to see that on 20-lap old tires is Lilith Peters. She is getting on the loud pedal and used every inch of that corner to make that turn. She's able to get a good run down the straight here as she gets into a hard braking zone, cranks that wheel, and carries on, firing off. Following in pursuit, right behind Lilith Peters. That's last week's winner. That's the 10 machine, Kyle Purcell. Don't sleep on that, man. You think he's out? He thrives on that. That is his.
We're looking at Purcell right now in 4th place. Your top 5 as they sit at the moment are Lewis Clark, Lilith Peters sitting in 2nd, Peter Thoreau in 3rd, Kyle Purcell sits in 4th place right now, and in 5th place is Cameron Harris. So right now, of those top 5, only your top 2 have not come down pit road yet. Peter came down on lap 19. Kyle Purcell and Cameron Harris both came down on lap 18.
And then 9 hooks around. Gonna have to come to a full stop. He smartly stabs the gas pedal, gets out of the racing group. Oh, is the 28 is gonna mirror the 9 and bounce it off the wall. He's gonna have to fire him up, spin that Mustang around, get it in gear and on the way in a hurry. But to your point, why come in and pit if you're turning the fastest sectors 20 laps on those tires?
Absolutely. We're taking a look right now. As you see on the replay, you see Adam do it. And like you said, we see Peter do it. Peter on that fresh set of Mr. Feelgoods. Both of those guys having a little bit of issue there in that first corner. As all this is going on, folks, we are going to take a quick commercial break as we are coming up towards the halfway segment. We aren't there just yet. But while most of these pit stops have gone through successfully, we are going to jump to the side, and we will see you back here in a few minutes. Hang tight, folks. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Chicago Street Course. Running tonight, we have the All-American Racing League for their Blue-Gray Plastic Fabrication Cup Series. My name is Greg McConey. Joining me in the booth is Matt Metler. Matt, we kind of were able to show it a little bit on the broadcast during the commercial break, but you'll notice right now the difference between Lewis Clark, your leader in the 73, and Peter Thoreau in second place right now. That gap dropped significantly. Can you explain to us why? Matt, I believe you're muted, buddy.
There we go. I'm back with you. So many different things going on here. I'm clicking buttons and I forget to unmute myself. But yeah, getting to what you were saying, a miscue on pit road, I believe, was the culprit there. You know, sometimes a brand new course, uncharted territory, so much focus goes to the performance and on the track. You know, you forget about the simple things, the small things, and that's pit road execution. He missed the pit box, had to slam it in reverse. He lost precious amounts of time. That mistake cost him, and I believe that's what has allowed the 28 to chew into the deficit. Like you were saying, just a tick over 4 seconds right now. But interesting enough, that gap is under 5 seconds. When we look at third place, Lilith Peters, that one machine who has been solidly solidified in third since the drop of the green, you got to go 16 seconds back to her and almost double it back to fourth, 31 seconds.
Absolutely. Right now, these drivers up front of Clark and Thoreau are laying it down, as it looks like we've had an incident for Cameron Harris, and he has towed himself back to the pits. Let's go back and take a look, see what happened. See right there, we did have a little incident. I'm going to back it up a little bit further. This is the incident we wanted to see.
Yeah, notice that Goodyear Eagle was not turning. She was locked up. Oh!
Big contact there.
It just sends it in there off the tire barrier. And you know what? You really can't fault him that much for that. I mean, look at how tight that corner is. I mean, as a race car driver, what are you trying to do? You're trying to go faster each and every lap. And that just goes to show you how, how fine that line is. You try to get just a little bit more, and the next thing you know, you're out of the race potentially because you tried to use those race car driver instincts out there on the racetrack. That's why I was saying at the beginning of this, sometimes slower is faster. Race the race, not, race the track, not yourself. And you could wind up in victory lane. And that's kind of really what, the 73, the 28, and the 1 are doing. However, they're out there running competitive lap times, but you don't see them, you don't see that car out of shape very often. They look very comfortable, they look very relaxed and poised in that race car compared to some of these other drivers where it's on the verge of out of control each right and left-hand turn they make.
Absolutely, and you brought up the key is to race the racetrack and race yourself. Do not race the other drivers around you, because when you do, you start missing your marks. You start focusing too much on where this driver is or where that driver is at, and you stop focusing on what you need to do lap after lap to run a good, solid, continual lap time. Taking a look, Matt, I'm looking at the YouTube chat right now. Yes, Dragon, this is the course that iRacing put together for NASCAR, like we were saying before. This is the proposed road course. As far as I know, this is still the track that they will be running. I know they are looking at a couple things, potentially around the layout of Millennium Park and what they want to do there. But looking a little further down in chat, Dragon, yes, again, so you're asking, and Matt, this is a good question to ask you. We're going to Chicago. What other cities do we think that would be good for NASCAR to host a street course race at?
Well, I think Formula One beat us to it, Las Vegas, without a shadow of a doubt. Chicago was number 2 on my list. And number 3, this is going to be a shocker for some of you guys, but I'm going with the Windy City on the shores of Lake Erie, Buffalo, New York.
Ooh, Buffalo would be an interesting one. I think for me, the reason they won't hit up Las Vegas is the fact that they already have Las Vegas Speedway there. So a lot of the reasons that I've heard NASCAR chose Chicago specifically is for the fact that this area right now kind of takes up a lot of their Midwest market. Is what they used to have in Joliet with the Chicagoland Speedway. They took that away. They decided to go and have a couple races up at Road America, and I think that was a success. So they've seen this area can support road racing. So I think the jump to the Chicago street courts makes sense. It's easy to fly in and out of, easy for, off major highways for everybody to get to, So I see this being a big one. Buffalo, New York, I think would be a fun track for sure. We'd have to see how that track would compete against, your Watkins Glen and such, because I don't think a lot of folks would want to give up Watkins Glen, as we see the two back there having a little bit of an issue. That two of Tyrone Yo gets that car straightened down and going. Personally, I think something, in that New England area, my thought is, I'd love to see Boston. Being from New England, being from Massachusetts, Boston would be such a fun and historical city to run a road course in on the streets. I have very little belief they will run a race there, even though they have New Hampshire with Loudon up there. But those streets in Boston, yeah, they're torn up. They're very. You could lose some cars in some of the potholes in New England, especially in downtown Boston. It's very easy to lose a car in a pothole.
Yeah, I've been there a couple times driving through there, and if you don't pay attention and watch the road craters, you're going to wind up at the corner tire shop in no time. But how about that 73 car? Do you see the rotors glowing on that thing like it's hitting like level 4 full military afterburner? Like, those rotors were glowing the past time by. I just caught it in the camera. You couldn't miss it. It was like fire was shooting out of them, which is just indicative of how much brake Lewis Clark is feeding that race car lap after lap.
Oh, for sure. And you notice where he has that glow coming from on the tires. It's on the rear pads, which is exactly what you want to have in a road course setup. You want most of your brake bias towards the rear, because what that does is that helps the car stop quicker. The only downside to it is if you put too much rear brake in, these cars like to get loose. Now, these cars won't wheel hop like we saw in the Gen 6 cars. Since this doesn't have a solid rear axle, this runs an independent rear axle with an independent rear suspension. It won't lock the rear tires up and essentially bounce the rear end around. What you're going to see is a lot of individual tire lockups. But you still want that brake in the rear, and that's exactly what you're seeing on Clark's car.
No, you're absolutely right. And it also, helps plant the front of that race car. It just transitions into the corner, and it does some other things there for you too as well. But the one, like you mentioned, it can bite you in certain aspects if you don't forget to reset it. And sometimes it'll get you on pit road on a high-speed entrance at green flag speeds. You forget to put a little bit more brake bias back to the front, and you basically hook it around at the commitment line because you forget to add a little more front brake. So if you go over what the car will accept, you'll find yourself putting in the wrong direction. But that 73 is just getting it out here lap after lap. That margin that was almost under 4 seconds has grown back to 6.5 seconds, back to that 28 machine. So he's definitely figured something out here. As we see the 28 there getting a little squirrely. Oh, he's going to love tap. Just barely kissed the wall there. Oh, almost does it again on corner exit. Looking like it's a drift contest out there.
Well, the interesting thing to remember too is I believe we saw it. No, it was right before we went to commercial break. Was that the 28 of Thoreau did go around, and he did light those rear tires up in order to spin that car back around quickly. You know, what kind of damage did he do? How much wear did he take off of those tires? Because you brought it up before. Clark, Thoreau, Lilith Peters, and Purcell and Clapper were all very steady in their rear ends in that first run. Now that they've kind of gotten used to the track, gotten used to a few things, as you see, Thoreau looks like he caught that outside wall again. They're putting a lot more into this. They're getting onto the gas harder. They're braking later into the corner. And Thoreau having to light those rear tires up, like we said, he's definitely done a little bit of damage. And did he do too much damage where now that back end isn't wanting to be as stable as he needs it to be?
Oh, I could not agree with you more, and that's a great point. And he prematurely got those tires a little too hot, and now he's paying the consequence because it just does not want to entrench itself. That rear tire does not want to basically grip, the racing surface, and it makes it feel like he's on a set of ice skates out there at times. As you can see, just about every corner, the minute he tries to put some type of power down, the back end just steps out. And like you were saying, this is a multi-link independent rear suspension, and he's very fortunate to have that, because if this was a solid axle truck arm car, like in the previous generation, he'd really be hanging on.
Absolutely, and I'm keeping my eye on the chat here. Matt, we've been saying his name wrong. It's Terrio.
Terrio. Well,
so, Peter, I sincerely apologize. It is Terrio is how you pronounce his last name. So thank you to the YouTube chat. We appreciate that. We see a few other things in there as well. Dragon was talking about cities going to San Antonio or Houston. I think both of those would be fun. We do have Road America down there, so we'd have to see how that would compete against that road course. As the 28 cooks it into the outside wall coming through turn 1.
Well, of course, after they had a John Force, Kenny Bernstein drag race going on, the first one to the brake pedal was chicken and found themselves into the wall. Just a byproduct of being a little too competitive out there on the racetrack. And that's, again, how close they are riding that line of grip and control. They try to turn it up just a little bit, wham! You find yourself in the tire barrier. Front of that race car, that Ford Mustang's all crunched in. Got to slam it in reverse, get it back to first. All that precious time lost on the racetrack for just throwing it in there maybe a little bit harder than you should have.
Yeah, and that's a product of racing and being around other lap cars. As right now, that's Evan Clapper right ahead of him. As Clapper gets the outside wall, we're going to go back because it looks like Evan had a little bit of an incident when Peter did.
Yeah, Peter went full stoppy there.
Ooh, yeah, you see Clark, the turn after gets into the outside wall there himself.
You know, and how many times have we seen that where the lead car in this case has an incident, and the car following in his footprints or in his tracks, if you will, almost mirrors the same incident.
So, looking at the YouTube chat, our good buddy Thunder has said the drinking game for every time David Hillbilly Hara gets a meatball, you got to take a shot. Apparently he's up to 6.
Oh, he's playing that game? Oh, I've already been told. I would not want to play
that game here tonight.
I've been told you do not want to go the meatball route with the 15. I was right off the bat. They warned me.
Hara's sitting in pit road right now. He's been there for the last 4 minutes, 5 minutes.
Yeah, a couple more.
Yeah, good luck to you, buddy. I would not want to be playing that game tonight.
Yeah, something tells me he'll have better access to those meatballs with his current position there in his pit box. Good luck to you, you brave soul. But we appreciate all you guys in the YouTube chat jumping on board with us here tonight as we start to write the history books here at the Chicago Road Course. And since the start, it has been all Lewis Clark in that 73 machine. Again, we didn't have a lot of change from the start of the race inside the top 5 as you get another beautiful shot of that screaming orange glow coming off the rotors of that race car, which I just cannot get enough of every time it comes by. But as I was saying, he's currently your leader in P1. You got to go 15 seconds back to P2, to Terrio in the 28 machine. And I got to apologize to that man, Truex, because I was pronouncing his last name wrong last week as well, so thank you. And third, she started third, consistently running third. That's the 1 machine of Lilith Peters.
Now, Peters has made her last, what should be ideally her last stop. I did not see anything come up saying that she had any kind of an incident, so this is a strategy play on her part to come in from third place, drops down to 4th right now, and get a set of Mr. Feelgoods, or Mrs. Feelgoods in this case, on that car, and really see if there's any bit of time that she can make up on new tires on Clark and on Terrio and on Purcell as well to see what she can do.
And I agree, that's a great call because, I mean, I don't see how else you're going to wipe a 35-second deficit, bar a full course yellow comes out, which we haven't seen at all since this has went green. You know, she came down pit road. She's got 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles on that race car. Can't she potentially catch the 73 in the 28 sleeping, as she's got brand new tires out there, and as they come up to temperature, she should be able to run her fastest laps of the race. Can she start to chew into that deficit, or does that make the 73 and the 28 bite and make their way down pit road?
I think right now, I don't think if you're the 78 or the 73 or the 28, I don't think you're biting just yet. If you're Purcell, maybe. You know, but at the same time, if I'm Kyle Purcell, I wouldn't want to jump onto that same strategy because, being brutally honest, we have not seen tires be that big of a deal, be that much of a gain. Now, yes, we've seen them be about a second, but a second on a road course versus a second on a place as, let's say, Richmond or one of those other tracks, the ovals, a second doesn't necessarily close your gap as quickly because you're looking at over a minute lap times.
Exactly, and that would be the other reason why not to take the bait and come down pit road. It's because you had over a 30-second buffer at the time that the 1 came down pit road. So you're absolutely right. I agree. Continue to run your race. If you're at the front, I agree that probably has more implications on the 10, as they're kind of within the same ballpark, you know, as far as the differential goes between first and second, first and third. But you said it earlier. We've seen these drivers like the 73, the 10, the 1 turn their fastest laps in certain sections of this course with plus 20 laps on their tires.
Absolutely. We're looking right now at Purcell as he's coming down, crossing the start-finish line. We'll take another look. Let's jump in his cockpit view and see exactly what he's seeing. Right now up front, folks, you aren't missing too much of a battle between Clark and Terrio. Clark currently sitting at about a 12-second lead. Terrio at about 40 seconds over Purcell. But as of right now, Evan Clapper is in on pit road. Adam Angerstein is on pit road as well. Both of those drivers making what should be their money stops.
Yeah, and they're in right now making their money stops, potentially their final pit stop of this one, as we go on board with Kyle Purcell. Look how smooth and fluent this man is in the execution of these corners. Roll in the center, picking up the throttle. You're not seeing exaggerated movements from the steering wheel. You're not seeing the skew or the yaw of that race car change. He's just hitting his marks and racing himself and racing the racetrack. He's not trying to point battle or point race other cars, which can easily get you in trouble and out of this one in a hurry. And I really feel that's why he's had such great success here in our first trip to the Chicago road course. He's just executing and he's staying within his means.
And it's fun looking at where he just crossed. That road that he was just on is Michigan Ave. So it's fun looking right now, and having been to Chicago so many times, living currently in Michigan, myself, I go to Chicago, I don't know, every few months. I probably make a weekend trip out there. Looking right now and seeing where these guys are running, right up ahead of you from Purcell, that's Soldier Field. That right there is Soldier Field on the left. We've got a bunch of the aquariums over there, the history museums over there, the Museum of History and Technology, I believe is what it is. I can't think of the full name of it this second. But he's coming back right now. He's going to make a left-hand turn, go over the little bridge through Millennium Park. That's Millennium Park on your right.
You are impressive.
And then this little right-hand corner coming in, and you're right back at Michigan Ave.
Look at that.
The bean, so you know, is, as we come around the carousel here, the bean would be straight ahead of us right now. As we come back, we're going to take this little right-hander right here. The bean is directly to our left.
Boom, and there is the bean. Oh, that's Mac Daddy McElroy taking you around this track. Sounded like a virtual GPS. And he's on board producing this race all at the same time. That was very impressive, sir. I am not worthy. That was awesome.
It looks like while all that was going on, it looks like Peter may have just had a little bit of an incident. Let's go back and take a look, see what happened with Peter. As he comes off of pit road, cold tires, we talked about how dangerous they can be before, comes into turn 2. And just locks it up and slides it into that outside wall. Doesn't look like too much damage on that car. Definitely a little bit on that left front of his. But he'll be able to continue on. And as he is right now, he is currently sitting 52 seconds back of your leader, as he now has some right front damage as well. We'll go back and take a look at where he got this damage.
Well, like you were saying before, this is an updated model. It's progressive damage. And he's he's played with these. Oh, that one there is going to leave a mark.
Yeah, that was a little bit more, as we're going to jump back live. Peter's got a broken suspension. That left front, I think, is now fully broken on that car, as he let Kyle Purcell get around him. And you see how much that car is bouncing right now. That is a broken suspension on the left front of that car. Peter's got to limp this thing back to pit road, and ideally, he may have used his fast repair already. We're going to wait and see. But Peter right now makes that right-hand turn onto pit road. We're going to wait and see what happens with Peter, if he has burned that fast repair or not just yet. I'm sorry. I got to make a quick comment. Whoever has the Bluey pit sign, thank you. I have to say that with an 19-month-old daughter, Bluey is running rampant in our house. So thank you to whoever has that pit sign. That is fantastic.
I caught that too as well, and I'll second you on that one. But getting back here to the 28, that progressive damage model may have been a big part of the catalyst there. All those incidences, contact with that right front, left front fender, it looked like that last incident, it had knocked it in right on the tire, potentially could have cut it down. That is certainly a possibility. Would cause the race car to react that way, and then makes much harder contact. And like you were saying, has a broken strut or shock at minimum. and may have used his fast repair. We're going to have to see how long he spends on pit road.
Yeah, he did. He has burned his fast repair. He's still sitting on pit road right now. Normal pit road time is somewhere about, total
the
time
leader.
of about a minute. Yeah, we just saw Clark gets into that outside wall a little bit. Not as bad as Peter was. He still currently has over a minute gap back to Lilith Peters, who has now gotten around Kyle Purcell as he comes into pit road. As you see Peter in that 28 Roku car sitting on pit road right now, it looks like that damage on that car is significant enough. Well, he's going to get back out and keep turning laps. He is now only one lap down. So Peter's still racing here tonight, getting some points as we have 15 laps to go. Matt, I hate to cut you off, buddy. I know you wanted to say something, but we've got a couple bills that need to be paid. So we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we will be right back, folks.
and gentlemen, coming back to you guys from the Chicago Road Course as we are inside of 10 laps to go. And I don't know if you guys caught that, but while we were away, Hera just absolutely crucified the wall, just about flips the car over. That's going to leave a mark. One of the biggest incidents that involves any type of contact while we were away. But as we continue to go back towards the front of the field, still carrying the torch out here on point, the 73 machine of Lewis Clark, and tracking in his footsteps, the number 1 of Lilith Peters, as we see the replay of the 15 just going full send on that wall. Blue and gray, that's how his ribs are probably going to feel tomorrow or maybe later on tonight. As you see that right front tire there is just, look at the angle on those tires. Oh my.
Yeah.
I don't even know how you drive that.
Yeah. Nor did David. He towed it back to pit road, I believe. Yeah, no, those tires were definitely in a little bit of trouble. As like we said before, right now we have Clark and Peters are your top 2 drivers right now. Both are on the lead lap. Kyle Purcell is in third, the first car 1 lap down. But he's only 30 seconds back on Peters, and we haven't seen Clark come in yet. He has about a 1:10 gap on Peters. But right now, we know he's still, from our understanding, 22. Ooh, there's a good chance he might. So, looking real quick and doing some quick math, Clark pitted last on lap 22. This is a 55-lap race. If he didn't need to run this car as hard as he did in the first segment, he may have been able to back off and save enough fuel in order to keep himself in a position to make this a one-stop race.
So basically, almost like he would do at Watkins Glen and run the track and run it in reverse, if you will.
Exactly.
I never even would have thought of attempting that the first time out, but sometimes it's the deep thinkers that are willing to roll the dice on strategy that wind up.
And as we say that, he makes a liar out of both of us.
Yep.
And now
I swear,
Clark has come in and pitted with 10 laps to go.
Go ahead. I swear these guys have us an in-car, and they do it on.
I'm almost positive they do.
Because that happens to us so much, you know. But hey, you gotta love it. But hey, so anyways, that's out the window. Throw those notes out. Goodbye. Yep. So let's see. Now that brings us now to Lilith Peters in the 1 machine.
Exactly. She is, or was, coming in about a 1:10 back. She right now is in a little bit of lap traffic, and it looks like, no, I may have been wrong. It may not have been a 1:10. It may have been closer to a 1:30. She currently right now is sitting about a 1:15, but she's caught up behind this lap traffic, and that has really slowed her down. And that lap traffic in front of her is the 72. I believe the 72. Nope, that's not Flanagan. That's Delgado, I believe.
Well, let me ask you a question here. As a competitor, if you're on the lead lap and you got lap cars holding you up on a road course, wouldn't that just blow your biscuits?
And you saw it right there. She just gave the 16 of Delgado a little shove in the center of that corner, showing her displeasure of the way that those 2 lap cars have been racing her specifically, because the other thing to remember is that neither of those drivers are racing each other. Delgado is not racing Christensen for position, and Peters, this has slowed her down significantly, where she was a minute, like we said, about a 1:10 to a 1:15 before pit stops, and taking a 40-second pit time did Clark of total pit road time. She's only back to 30 seconds, and she has not been able to close that gap. So if I were her, I'd be screaming on the radio right now at those two ahead of me. Let me by. Let me by. You don't need to race me. I don't care if you two race each other. Have fun doing what you need to do. Let me go so that I can go chase down the leader and go do what I need to do to go win this race.
Exactly, and I think that's why you see the emotions starting to boil over there in the one as she got all up close and personal on the back of that Mustang. But yeah, there's absolutely no point to hold the one up. Now, maybe there's some history there.
There's contact there, definitely now.
That almost got really personal to a whole new level. If that would have taken the one out of this race or did some serious damage to that race car, but smartfully gonna let that one machine go. And as she has cleared lap traffic, look for her to check out on those guys that were holding her up. It seemed like for an eternity. Now Lilith has to get mentally reset, right? You're past that lap traffic. You got to focus. You got to get yourself reset for these last final laps of this race if you want any type of shot to catch the 73, which it looks grim right now, I know, but mathematically, that yellow thing could wave. We haven't seen it yet, and I don't want to be the one, but there is an equalizer that could still happen here. We could re-rack and restack and go into overtime. That's still a possibility.
Absolutely. It's never out of the question as, we see Delgado gets into the wall there as he was battling with Angerstein. Not Angerstein, with... How did I lose him?
You didn't lose him. I lost him at the same time you lost him.
We both lost him. But with the fight that he was having, he did get into the outside wall. Was it Christensen? Nathan Christensen. That's who it was.
There he is.
So those two did have a little bit of a meeting in the minds, but we talk on how quickly Lilith caught both of them. Look at how far she's pulled away in a lap. That just goes to show how much they were actually, how much time she was losing having to be behind those two as they fought each other, which they do have every right to. Because iRacing does not show a blue flag.
No, it does.
Which is an interesting thing to me, that they don't show a blue flag for when you do have a faster paced car closing in on you.
Well, go ahead. I mean, let alone 4 laps faster than you paced car. And to be fair, most of the tracks that we see these cars accustomed to competing at, if you're that much faster, there's a lane. You have options to get around them. This course here, though, this is the first one I've seen when you've had a car that was that much faster and you could not get around somebody without putting yourself in jeopardy of taking yourself out of this race by making contact with that inside or outside concrete wall. So you bring up a good point. Maybe this is the scenario or the one time in NASCAR when we need that type of flag, just because the passing opportunities in the alternate lines are far few and in between.
Absolutely. And along with that, it goes to the point as well of, as it looks like there's been a fairly big incident between several drivers. So
oh my! Oh my! Oh my! Are you kidding me?
We're going to go back and take a look. It looks like there was an incident between Purcell. Oh, look at this.
Oh!
We're going to jump a little further back. I believe this started with Delgado. As they go right now into this corner. Oh, that was a big move by the 14 tried to dive bomb him into the corner. The 16 didn't have anywhere to go. Yeah, and both of these guys into the wall. And look at this carnage that ensues.
And that was my fear. We were talking about this at the start of the race.
Oh,
if
no.
Are you serious?
That's
Calamity corner of epic proportion as he full sends it in there on a prayer, and on his bold move, multiple race cars are impacted. And at lap 47, with a race that has been controlled and dominated by the 73 Lewis Clark, are you kidding me? We're going to re-rack and restack these guys.
Yes, we're going to restack. We have 3 drivers right now that are on the lead lap, and Rodney Uberbacher is currently sitting in 4th place, the first car 1 lap down. And if they do, in fact, enforce the lucky dog rule, which I believe they are, he's going to get himself back on the lead lap here, and we're going to have a 4-car, well, 3 cars up front. Well, no. If I were those leaders, I would definitely come in, get a fresh set of tires, because why not? You're going to be ahead of everybody else that's most likely going to stay out, take the wave around, and do their thing. But, Matt, I don't know if you just noticed what I'm seeing on the back left quarter of that rear bumper. I found who has the bluey car.
Yes, sir.
Rodney,
but I'm also
thank you.
Rodney Uberbacher.
Thank
but
you.
What we owe you. We'll send him a pizza or something.
Yeah, we'll do something nice for him.
Yeah, I agree, man. I like little things like that sometimes just throw you over the top, certainly when you don't expect it. But one other thing I'm seeing in the driver's chat, Lilith Peters says, Dad, Sean Purcell says, yes, let's go. So you're seeing both sides of this, and I couldn't believe what I was witnessing. I had to blink my eyes 4 times when I seen the caution has been thrown. We were just talking about this scenario just a few short laps ago, and oh my, can you imagine if you're the 73? He is probably evangelizing in that race car to his race team about how upset he is that that caution is out. So they're going to need to really give a quick counseling session to that man, and rightfully so, because he has just dominated all phases of this race. Is that Porsche is back out in front of these NASCAR Cup cars, which is hard for me to process still right now. I've never seen that before in my life.
Well,
but go ahead.
Here's the interesting thing. You see it now. Lilith Peters comes down pit road. Kyle Purcell and Lewis Clark do not. So Lilith is going to come down and be the first car with a fresh set of Mrs. Feelgoods. And she is going to be able to get her position back in 3rd place and be able to fight these drivers and fight these 2 for a potential race win in Chicago, as it looks like. Is that Angerstein that just caught the wall there? It was. Not sure exactly what happened there, but Lilith Peters fixing whatever damage that she needs to, because she will be 3rd place. She is going to have her chance, and it looks like, I believe, Justin Horton should be getting the lucky dog potentially, if what I am seeing on SDK is correct.
Yeah, this race could go Chicago gangster style here, quick in a hurry, as this goes back to green flag conditions in overtime. As Lewis Clark, Kyle Purcell, Lilith Peters, and Justin Horton get ready to rage war on the streets one more time.
There goes
Any of those.
Horton is the lucky dog car. He will get his lap back. We will have a 4-car shootout of Clark, Kyle, Lilith, and Horton, like you said.
All within arm's reach of each other for the first time since we've dropped that green flag.
Should be. I'm not sure if Horton. I'm not sure how they're going to do the lucky dog here.
Could you imagine if they make him go to the end of the longest line?
I think they're going to.
Oh.
Being honest, I'm afraid they're going to have him be at the back of the longest line. But we know what the famous saying always was from our good buddy DW.
That's right.
Cautions breed cautions. That's how it works. Now, 5 to go. I believe, Matt, you can double check that. Are they running green-white checkers here tonight?
I am in the process. Let me actually hop down there to race control and see if I can get a confirmation on that. I know last week they did.
I'm not sure if a road course, if they will. So for the folks listening, the reason I bring that up is if we get another yellow within 5 laps to go. Since this yellow started outside of 5 laps to go, we're fine. But if we get another yellow within 5 laps to go and there is no green, white, checkered, iRacing calls the race there. They do not get going back under green. It ends how it ends. So if they do have a green, white, checkered, and we do get a quick yellow, we are immediately going to restack the field, and we're going for however many numbers of a green, white, checkered attempt.
Right, so certainly a couple different scenarios could play out here.
Oh, for sure.
Still, if you would have told me 4 laps ago that there was a full course yellow coming out, and they would have turned that 90-degree corner into a junkyard, I would have said there's no way. It'll never happen. And it happened. This changes the entire complexion of this race. You know, all the different storylines we were talking about and all the different strategies, that's gone. It's out the window. This is back to heads up, old school NASCAR style racing, door to door, letting these boys and girls rip and battle and use their skills to weave their way through this Chicago street course. And who will survive and be alive at the top when we come out the other side will be seen. But you guys at home who stuck around for the end of this one are in for a epic display right here, as last time these guys went overtime, it turned into an absolute thriller. And when we were under the lights at Chicago in prime time, it's the right time for these guys to turn it up.
Absolutely. So were you able to get with race control, and they are doing green, white, checkers tonight?
That is a negative. I have been unable to contact race control. For some reason, I cannot get into their office space, as we'll currently have to see here if I can have some external sources communicate with me to get a confirmation there.
Well, that works fine then. Let us know. We're going to have you check that out for us as we see this field line up again. 2 by 2. Clark and Purcell make up your front row. Clark has the button as they come out of the last corner here. Everybody lines up 2 by 2. Lilith Peters gets as close as she can. Green flag is out. These guys are back. Clark gets a great launch. That puts Peters and Purcell side by side going into turn 1. Clark gets the preferred line. Peters gets through. She is now up to second as we've got a wreck in the back. That's Delgado. We'll go back and take a look at that after we see what happens here with these leaders. 3 laps to go. We have Clark, Peters, and Purcell, your top 3.
That's right, as they fire back off under the green flag conditions. Lewis Clark picking up right where he left off in P1, carrying the torch around Chicago. In close proximity, though, the one machine, Lilith Peters, hot on his tail. And also the 10 of Kyle Purcell. Don't forget about where Mr. He come from. He did it at Atlanta, and he can do it here again today with the help of that full course yellow. As you went on back, further in the frame, you saw a car sitting
Clark
up on
gets
top.
into the outside wall.
Yeah, it gives it a little bit of a love tap there, and that's just a byproduct of how hard these guys are racing right now. They are 110%. Everything they've got, they've saved the rotors, the brakes, the fenders on these race cars for times like this, and this is when they're going to use them up. As you can see, Lilith Peters now starting to close down on the back of that 73, going to apply the pressure. Can she get the nose of that ZL1 Camaro against that Mustang and move him out of the groove, just upset him, or start getting him to drive out that rear view mirror, make a mistake? If he opens up the hole, she will pounce.
She's doing everything she can to pester that rear end of that 73 Chevy. Lilith Peters is right there. She's going to have an opportunity to make a dive bomb. The question is Clark going to leave the door open wide enough, or is he going to run a defensive line? He's going to give Lilith the chance. She doesn't take it going into this
Oh,
as she gets into the wall and into the back end.
Boom, shakalaka, shot sent to the back of the 73, but miraculous. He didn't even flinch, it looked like, at least from the bumper cam there, as they continue to stalk one another. The 73 on full offense. I'm sorry, the one on full offense. The 73 right now on full defense, as Lilith Peters is giving it everything she has right now.
And with those fresh sets of tires, she has she's on the outside wall. Has a little bit of an issue. She's going to be able to get that Camaro back underneath her. But we talk about how hard she is, and right behind him, Kyle Purcell is doing everything he can, trying to keep up with them, but he caught that outside wall as well. That's exactly what Clark wanted to see as he comes down this front straightaway, getting the white flag. One more time around this Chicago street circuit here. Purcell backs way off. There's no need for him to drive too crazy. He's got 20 seconds back to Horton. He's going to limp that car around as best he can.
That's exactly it. Now, Clark has a little bit of breathing room from that mistake, that miscue by the one of Lilith Peters. I imagine that crew chief is all in the headset of that driver. Back it down, back it down. Don't put yourself in a position to crash if you don't need to be. So just be smart, be fluent out there, and hit your marks, and you should come home as the victor. But don't think that one machine is not going to give up just yet. She has been inside the top 3 all day today and finished very high in the standings last week, and I know would love to rebound with a win to open up the Chicago road course here this evening. But how about that 10 car? Kyle Purcell stole one last week and won, and has been consistently inside the top 5 all day today in that 10 car. Big shout out to him and that performance from that team.
And Lilith had an issue. She's now crab walking that car. You see major damage. We'll go back and take a look at that.
No.
But that's going to allow Purcell to get up into second place.
Oh,
Peters looks like she may have to tow.
Peters is definitely going to have to tow it. She's lost all steering input on that race car. And that's just heartbreaking, especially with that performance that she had earlier. But that just goes to show you she was doing what we were saying. She was racing within her means. What happened when she stepped outside of that? Broken race car within a matter of laps. And now you're potentially going to throw away that beautiful top 2. Luckily, there's some cars a lap down where it'll mitigate the damage, but definitely not the result she's looking for. As she's looking like a Hummer EV coming down the pit road there, or the backstretch.
That's a fantastic shot there. She does come home in 3rd. Justin Horton comes home in 4th, but your winner tonight at Chicago, Lewis Clark, takes it home after running a nearly flawless race. Will be your winner here tonight. Kyle Purcell comes home in 2nd place after that incident with Lilith Peters. While we're waiting for them to finish up their lap, let's go back and see what happened to Lilith in this lap here. Goes to make the left. That's a very odd,
very strange.
That looks more like an iRacing incident more than anything, because she did not hit that inside wall all that hard. Let me see if I can get a good chase cam. We're going to go back one more time, folks. We're going to take one more look at this chase cam and see. Yeah, she didn't hit the wall all that hard, but I think it was more of an iRacing issue, which you hate to see, is what's going to cost her that win here tonight, or the shot at the win, I should say.
Netcode strikes at the worst moments possible, and it looks like that may have, would you say, been a big factor in that incident with the 1?
Absolutely. That looks like what the major cause of most of her damage was from what iRacing calls netcode. But while we've got Clark out here doing his burnouts, Matt, I'm going to get him, pull him down into the booth with us, and he is going to be there for you to talk with if... There he is. Let me move him down with us, and we are going to have him for a quick second. Matt, he's all yours.
Lewis Clark, Matt, up in the SRM broadcast booth. Do you have me, sir?
Hello, mate. How are you?
Hey, I am doing fantastic along with my broadcast partner, watching you dominate this road course from flag to flag. Walk me through this race tonight from your perspective. How did you get it done? How did you put it together? How are you so fast?
The track is amazing, man. It's really good with the cars. I put a lot of practice in before. The car didn't feel the exact same as it did in practice. I weren't really confident in the car as I was in practice. We still got it done. The car was, it's all right. Peter was done well. He, unfortunate for him. And it's good.
It seemed like you guys were really tight for racing room out there at times, or would even attempt to make a pass because of just running out of real estate and trying to avoid contact with, the wall. Was it that tight out there? Was that a new challenge you guys have had to adapt to?
Oh yeah, it was very tight, especially trying to lap the lap cars, especially coming around the I want to say the last sector, last couple of corners. It was very tight. We was all giving each other enough room when we can, but then the fighting was there and intense as well.
Yes, sir. And my last question for you: when you seen that full course yellow come out with that lead, what was your initial reaction?
I was a bit, I was right about it. I thought it was going to make it a good finish. Obviously, I didn't want to give up my 40 second gap I think I had. But, it was what it is. On the restart, I hit the wall going over the bridge. That really just done the front left side in. And Lilith was all over me. I just had to defend like crazy. And then last lap I thought, right, let's go for it, and just chucked in I think hopefully fastest lap of the race.
That performance was clutch. You did not flinch under all that pressure from Lilith Peters. You come out here tonight, you put Chicago on notice. Lewis, who do you want to thank on that 73 team before we cut you loose?
It's man, Olimex, Woodwork. They've been sponsors with me when I was in a road course team about a year ago. Sadly left there a couple of months back, but they stuck with me. Sonic as well for the same thing. And Mayhem Motorsports, Hillbilly Motorsports, Hillbilly himself for letting me drive for him and Lafano. And AARL, Corey for our race steward. And you guys up in the booth, man. We couldn't do it without you, and you guys have been amazing.
Well, we certainly appreciate that, and we definitely appreciate that 73 machine and you being out there on that racetrack tonight, watching you execute at such a high level and dominating this race, becoming the bull in Chicago, putting this series on notice. Big note, he's the man to beat when the road course is in prime time. That is Lewis Clark, your winner tonight.
Cheers, guys. Have a good one.
You too as well, sir.
All right, Matt, I've got Kyle walking into the booth right now. Kyle Purcell, Greg McConey up in the SRM booth, man. Congratulations on your second place finish. Talk us through those last few laps.
Oh, well, unfortunate for my teammate, he was in lucky dog position, but he didn't have enough fuel to make it around to take his lucky dog, so he had to pit. So unlucky for him, but those last few laps, I was just focusing on keeping it clean. I knew Lilith and Louie were both faster than me. I was letting them go at it, hoping they both wreck each other. That would have been perfect for me. Didn't happen. Back on lap 2, I hit the wall in turn 10 a little bit and broke my steering a little bit, but it was okay. So I ran the whole race like that. And then lap 54, I broke it a lot of bit in the same place. So I ran the last lap and a half with 45-degree angle in my steering. But overall, got a 0x, ran the race as clean as I could, and sacrificed a little speed for it, but it obviously worked out in the end, just keeping the car clean.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You were running up front all night. You started in 5th place. we were both Matt and I were talking this whole time about how tough this track looked for you guys to be able to drive with all of the tight corners. There's very little runoff that you guys were seeing. Was that something running through your heads as you guys were making these laps tonight, and especially getting around other lapped cars?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's nowhere to go if you make a mistake. So, I ran 3 seconds slower per lap than I ran in my fastest lap, where I was just dive bombing every corner in practice, because, it's great to make a fast lap, but you need to make 55 of them. So yeah, it's tough. There's bumps. Both times I hit the wall was because I started my turn right at the same moment that my car decided to take a bump, and you can't turn if the wheels aren't on the ground. So it was tough, a lot of right on the edge of braking a little too late. You slide straight into a wall. You hit a bump in the wrong part of the braking zone. You slide into the wall. Turn a little too soon to get a little too much. You hit the wall and break your toe link. It's a grueling, demanding track, but it's also a ton of fun. It's my home track. I had a hometown sponsor on the car, and just really happy to, again, keep it clean and get a good finish.
Well, you talked about it, and we tried to bring it up, talking about the race, that this isn't a normal, isn't like a normal road course where it's fairly, at least the track itself is fairly smooth. Were the bumps and all of the ruts something, I know you talked on it a little bit, but was that a major challenge that you guys were having to fight all night?
Yeah, for me, it was especially in the higher speed corners, because in the low speed corners, you can kind of make up for it by just going down to first gear instead of second and sacrificing some speed to just get it woed up. But, I'm not sure how we are with the numbers, but like turn 4 going, which is a couple before it's like the first right-hander before you get into the long straight downhill. You can carry a lot of speed through there, but you can also hit the wall really easily through there. And then where I hit the wall twice in turn 10, again, it was high speed corner. You want to get as much as you can, but yeah, those bumps, one lap to the next, it does not feel the same if you're an inch further left or right, or you break an inch further forward or back. So overall, I also have to give a shout out on that topic. The lap cars and also the people I was racing position all race really respectful, not really running into each other, people making way, getting out of the way for the cars that are lapping them. It was really good to see that level of sportsmanship and just clean racing around.
Well, Kyle, you said this was a hometown race for you. You had a hometown sponsor. Who else do you need to thank for tonight's second place finish?
Just a big shout out to all the animal shelters in the area. I'm in the process of trying to adopt a cat, so having Anderson Humane on the car, where both my dogs came from, is huge for me. And huge shout out to my teammates, Juggles and Josh. They showed up. They had some trouble early and had to dip, but a P5 and a P6 from Rodney and Adam, they were hanging with me. We were all chatting the whole race, having some fun, keeping it light, and just really great to race with these guys week in, week out, because they keep the mood light no matter what's going on. So we have a good time, even if we're not doing so great.
Well, Kyle, congratulations again on your second place finish. We'll hopefully see you again next week. I don't know if I'm gonna be in the booth, but I know Matt will be here. So good luck, man. Have some fun, and we'll see you next week.
Yep. Thanks a lot, guys.
And Matt, we're gonna pull up our third place finisher, Lilith Peters, and she is now in the booth with you.
Lilith Peters, Matt Metler back in the booth again here at Chicago. Do you got me, miss?
Hello.
Lilith, you and I spoke last week at the end of Atlanta, and as bad as I want to jump to the caution and the restart and what unfolded, yet again, another week, a completely different course that we've never seen before, and you hit the racetrack and you go out there and execute at a high level. How are you able just to come to a racetrack that, I never even seen until I loaded the session in tonight, and just have such balance and precision over the course of those 55 laps?
I spent a good 5-6 hours at least practicing over the week. I didn't want to wreck. So I spent my time going like 90%, not wrecking the whole race until that random caution. Then I decided I was just going to try my best. Ended up wrecking, but still in the third. Not too bad.
So be basically conservative, being smart, taking what was there, not being over aggressive, got you pretty much to where, you were able to run competitive lap times around the track. Take me now to that caution as it came out, I believe, on lap 47. What was going through your mind at that point?
I was thinking, hopefully I don't get pile drived into turn 1 here on the restart, but I was also thinking I might have a chance at the win, and I guess apparently I did. But
Yeah,
I had fun the whole race, whether or not that caution came out.
I knew when that caution flag came out that you were going to elevate and you were going to give it everything you had and give the 73 a run for his money, and you absolutely did. Then you had what looked like some heartbreaking netcode interaction with the wall, which turned your steering into like a Hummer EV and crab walking around the course. Was the contact that hard? Was the damage rendered to that race car indicative of how hard you hit it, in your opinion?
No, not at all. I think I phase shifted into the wall, and that's why that did that. So it was basically undrivable.
Yeah, we were talking about that, and when we saw that, I know our hearts were just broken for you after just watching you perform and execute out there tonight. But you still come home third. Who do you want to thank tonight on that one machine?
Oh boy, new Cup Series sponsor this year, Blue Gray Plastic Fabrication. Thank my team, Kaiju Cat Motorsports, Jeremy, Justin, Evan Clapper. Justin had a poggers race, finishing 4th. I think that's like a record on a road course for him. My main primary sponsor here, Luna Steak Sauce, foxfirefoods.com is where you can get that. And thank you guys for broadcasting. I'm sure it was a funny race to watch.
It was definitely exhilarating and everything we thought it would be and more. There she is, your third place finisher tonight, putting these gentlemen on notice once again. She is here to compete and here to win. That is the one of Lilith Peters.
Well, as we have now concluded our top 3 tonight, Matt, it's been a fun race, but we've got one more thing to do, and that's to run through the final race results here at Chicago in the Windy City 250, presented by Blue Gray Plastic Fabrications. Your winner tonight is not that. This is the correct results that we wanted to see. Lewis Clark finishes in first place in that number 73 machine. Kyle Purcell comes home second. Lilith Peters rounds out, like we said before, your top 3. Justin Horton comes home in 4th place. Rodney Uberpacher comes home in 5th. Adam Engerstein in 6th. Cameron Harrison 7th. Patrick McQuaid in 8th. Sean Purcell in 9th. And Nathan Christensen rounds out your top 10.
All right, let's bring him the rest of the way home. In 11th place tonight, 4 laps down. That's going to go to the 20 of Larry Garnes. In 12th, Christian Delgado. 13 belongs to the 2 of Tyrone Yo. 14th, David Lafarno. 15th, the 28 of Peter Throw. 17, that's going to be Scott Leonard. 18 belongs to, position 15 belongs to the 15 of David Hara. 18th, the 57 of Evan Clapper. 19 laps down. 19th, that's going to be Jeremy Flanagan. 20th, that's going to be Joshua Petrick, if I remember correctly from last week. 21st is going to be Chad Snyder. And rounding out your 22 starting competitors here tonight is the 7 of Travis Rodriguez, as we continue to wrap up and write this one in the inaugural history books at the Chicago Road Course in the Windy City 250.
Yeah, Matt, once again, thank you to everybody that showed up tonight in the YouTube chat. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow. We are so close to hitting some milestone marks on our Facebook page and YouTube. Be sure to continue checking out these guys at the All-American Racing League, especially their Blue Gray Plastic Fabrication Cup Series here on Tuesday nights. They also have a few other series that they broadcast themselves. But Matt, as we close it out, thank you again for letting me join you in the booth. I know Cliff was unable to be here tonight. It's always fun whenever you and I get together and broadcast and talk through a fun and exciting race, especially one like this on a track that neither of us have been to. We saw some fantastic racing. The drivers did absolutely fantastic. It was so much fun. So Matt, thank you again. I can't wait until you and I get the chance to be back in the booth one more time. But as we close this out tonight, we want to say thank you to everybody again for joining us. Thank you to all the series sponsors. And we want to leave you with one final reminder, folks. That's to keep your foot to the floor, keep the car off the wall, and we'll see you back here at SRM. Good night, everybody.